It's the holiday season, and that means it's time for a vacation. Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation recently released, and I really enjoyed it, so why not do a quick review? This is a fast-paced old-school shooter with striking visuals, slick gameplay, and a killer soundtrack. Now, I have to preface this whole review by saying I'm not too knowledgeable on retro FPS games. In fact, I only got around to doing full playthroughs of Doom 1 and 2 like a few years ago. And some of you can already tell just by seeing this menu, but this game was made in GZ Doom, which is an engine I'm not super familiar with. So forgive me if I use some terminology wrong or just say something dumb. You play as Captain Wayne, a pirate with a shotgun for an arm, who receives a free vacation to Orca Isle, home of the legendary Orca Stone. But things go south when a group of mercenaries called the Killer Whales steal your ship and leave you to drown. Out for revenge, Wayne goes after them, and maybe tries to stop their evil plans while he's at it. I guess I'll talk about the weapons first, since they're a pretty important thing to get right in your first-person shooter. You've got 6 main weapons, all with alternate fire modes. Stuff like a shotgun for blasting dudes up close, chain gun for running and gunning, and the boom brew is a high-damage explosive. Nothing is super unique, but they all fill a distinct role, and the piratey spin on their visuals keeps them feeling fresh. By keeping the arsenal small and giving the weapons versatility with the alternate fires, Captain Wayne avoids almost any redundancy in his kit. There was never a time where I felt like I had guns collecting dust in my back pocket, like how the moment you get the chain gun in Doom, the pistol gets thrown in the trash. I only ever swapped back to it to pick off really far away enemies because I thought it was more accurate, but even then that was just placebo. Captain Wayne avoids this by making the chain gun a bullet hose that fires a barrage of lead vaguely towards your crosshair, while the alternate fire is a slower, steadier, way more accurate stream of bullets for targets at range. Similarly, the cannon can fire a ball that pierces enemies, or one that explodes on contact, letting you pick if you want your AoE in a straight line or in a circle. And the Cell Shocker can fire a burst of projectiles, or charge up a single, powerful, concentrated shot. This makes the weapons feel like they're all the right tool for multiple jobs, rather than being shoehorned into a single role. Even your fists pack quite a punch. You can swing by clicking, as expected, hold it a little for an uppercut, and hold it even longer for a thunder punch that really hurts. You can also press the reload key to crack your knuckles, stunning nearby enemies. Surprisingly, the shotgun is the only weapon that actually uses reloading mechanics, since without them the alt-fire shooting both barrels wouldn't make as much sense. You can also reload to start the fuse on the boom brew in your hands, but I didn't get much use out of this. I won't go over all the weapons in detail, or all the sick tech like shotgun jumping, but there's not a single gun that I didn't enjoy using. There's also the Thunder Dave tokens, which function kind of similarly to bombs in a shmup. These are very scarce, and you can only hold one at a time, but you toss one out and it clears the whole room. It's your get out of jail free card for when you're getting overwhelmed, but I think the scarcity does a good job of regulating its power. Not only do you get very few, but on the first playthrough you've got no idea what enemies show up where, so you'll always have that question of, do I want to use this here? What if the next room is even worse? And to round out Wayne's moveset, you can press Q to kick. Any shooter with a kick button automatically becomes like 3 times as good. Enemy too close to you? Kick 'em. Enemy blocking your shots? Kick 'em. Enemy too far from you? Jump, then kick at them. Jump kicks are something you'll be doing a lot, as it gives you a pretty huge burst of movement and is a big contributing factor to the game's overall lightning-fast pace. I'd imagine this game would be pretty good for speedrunning if you're into that sort of thing. This game comes with aim assist turned on by default, which seems pretty odd to me for a PC game, but with the almost ludicrous speeds you can move at, I started to understand why they start you off with this enabled. Considering how fun he is to move around with, and that all the guns are a blast to use, I think Captain Wayne is one of the best feeling FPS protagonists I've played as in recent memory. Speaking of characters, this game has a plot, so I guess I should talk about it. It's a simple story, all centering on that Orca Stone I mentioned earlier. The bad guys want it, we gotta stop whatever they're doing. The story is basically just an excuse to get you shooting dudes. They convey it through these little hand-drawn cutscenes between levels, and I really love these. It's got a stylized cartoon aesthetic that really lets the characters' personality shine through the exaggerated faces and proportions. The voice acting is also delightfully cheesy.
That was a good workout, but we got bigger fish to fry.
I think you've got your point, Captain. Although, maybe your incentives ring a tad dingier than mine.
What do you mean?
I got the impression that the voices were done by the developers themselves, so I looked a little into it and I was mostly right. Most of it is the developers, or the people the developers know, but there is a bit of hired voice talent, like Gianni Matragrano, because of course he's here. I swear this guy shows up in every 5th game I see. The characters are all pretty simple, being defined by just a few traits each. I like all of these guys. Well, all of them except for Dinky, but he gets no screen time, so who cares. None of them are character tropes you haven't seen before, but it's presented in such an over-the-top way that I always found myself with a big smile on my face whenever these cutscenes came up. especially when Stanley was on screen. This is now officially a Detective Stanley Steel Press fan channel. Stanley haters will be forced to walk the plank. Though the cutscenes can be a little scuffed, the picture quality can drop pretty drastically sometimes, and it can definitely be a bit distracting in some scenes. Now, I have no doubt this is just a limitation of the GZ Doom engine. I know you have to jump through some hoops to get videos even playing in this thing, but what's weird to me is that after beating the game, you get a little cutscene introducing some new characters for the Endless mode, and the cutscene here is totally clear, even has functional subtitles. I don't know how well it's going to come through with YouTube compressing the video and all, but it's a pretty noticeable difference. I have no idea what they did differently here, but whatever it is, I hope they keep doing it in the future. Also, if you don't want to use GZ Doom for reasons, there is a workaround to make it run through UZ Doom instead. I don't know where else to put this, so I'm kinda just throwing it in the middle here, but it's something I've been meaning to bring up in one of these videos. If you ever play a cool game on Steam that you want more people to see, leave a review on it. I don't know exactly how the algorithm works, but I've heard multiple developers say that reviews really help, and it takes like 10 seconds to do. You don't need to write anything extremely thought-provoking, you can just be like, game good, recommended. The levels are all pretty spectacular. There's 8 in total, which isn't a lot, but they can get quite expansive, and each have a distinct visual aesthetic. From resort hotels, to an art gallery, to an underground lab, to an eldritch temple housing ancient gods where reality seems to bend and fold in on itself. It's actually kind of crazy that they managed to design a level with non-Euclidean geometry that I didn't end up getting that lost in. In fact, I barely ever got lost in any of the levels. If I ever got stuck not knowing where to go, it usually only took me about a minute of running around to find the really obvious door that I missed. You probably won't have to spend a lot of time key hunting, which is a real relief after playing Doom 2. I got stuck in the Citadel for so damn long that I started wondering if they made it confusing on purpose to sell more strategy guides. But if you want to poke around, there is absolutely secrets to find. The levels also just look good. There's a lot of small details that go a long way in making these feel like actual places and not just arenas to shoot people in. It's even got working mirrors, which means it's better than Prey 2017. How the hell did that game get the whole looking glass thing to work, but they couldn't figure out mirrors? What was up with that? Not all of these details are just for show though. Some things can be picked up and interacted with. You can throw explosive barrels, eat a watermelon and rapid fire spit out the seeds like bullets, or take a nice drink from a coconut. Then dome an enemy with it. This game is pretty short, it'll only take around 3 or 4 hours to beat, but if you want more, Wayne's got you covered. There's an endless mode that has 9 different maps. Pretty standard wave survival stuff, but rather than trying to last as long as you can, it puts more emphasis on scoring a lot of points. Killing enemies within a short time of each other increases your combo meter, and there's some bonuses you can get for doing specific things. After passing wave 15, a secret exit will open that lets you leave to claim your points. Leaving early gives more points than dying would, so you have to decide whether it's time to get out, or if you can hold off another wave. Also, I know this is a pretty, the who cares point to make, but the Steam achievements for this mode are pretty out of whack at the moment. I got the achievement for getting a captain rank on my first run, even though I didn't, and even more bizarrely, I made it to wave 20 but didn't get the achievement for it. But then in the next map, I got it seemingly randomly in the middle of wave 8.
What?
I think this might have to do with the run I got to wave 20 being split across 2 sessions, so I saved and loaded in the middle, but I've really got no idea. And while I'm on this achievements thing, there's one for beating a level using only your fists, no weapons or even temporary weapons like throwing barrels. The problem here is that even switching to your other guns disqualifies you from getting it, and by default, switch on pickup is enabled. So unless you can somehow dodge picking up any ammo, you'll need to turn that off to actually get this achievement.
My only other criticism of Endless Mode is that the requirement for the highest rank is getting 75,000 points and leaving via the exit. But I feel like I usually hit that points threshold a few waves before the exit opens, so there's no real reason to stick around longer outside of seeing how big I can make the number go.
I'm usually not a big fan of endless modes, but I actually ended up having a lot of fun with this one. Maybe someday I'll try and get all the trophies. So, enemies. I think they're pretty good overall. None of them are anything totally new, but they usually have enough unique stuff going on that they never feel like reskinned Doom monsters. Like how the gunner enemies can roll to reposition, or these melee guys that can block your bullets. They even made their Archvile equivalent not suck to fight, which is remarkable. They seem to switch between a melee mode where they chase you down with their claws and a magic mode where they back up to cast a spell. During the cast, you get a huge eye effect on the screen to hint that you should break line of sight with them. It's very intuitive and ensures there's no ambiguity on if they can or can't see you. A lot of the tougher enemies prominently feature the color red, which I like because it makes them easily recognizable as dangerous, so you can quickly pick out your priority targets in the chaos of battle. And the glowing eyes all enemies have means they can design darker levels without completely sacrificing visibility. I think the difficulty is about right, but you can make saves at any point, so it only ever really gets as hard as you want it to be. I think the autosaves are frequent enough that my deaths usually never felt too punishing, with the exception of this one really long arena that I died right at the end of and it puts you all the way back to the start. There's a bit of unskippable dialogue back here, so I'd recommend making a save after that finishes so you don't have to wait through it each time. Dialogue shows up a fair bit in some levels, and for the most part I think it's good, but there's one scene pretty early on where I really struggle to make out what they're saying. I think subtitles would help a lot here, but I don't really know how feasible that is in GZ Doom, so it might just be out of their control. There's a few boss fights in this game. I think they're alright. Designing a good boss fight in an FPS game is just really hard, especially in an engine like GZ Doom. I like the one against Stanley, although it is very much a shoot it till it dies boss, but the other two were mostly just waves of monsters while you wait for your moment to hit the actual boss. I still had fun fighting them, but I feel like I can attribute a lot of my enjoyment of the boss fights to the silly voice acting and amazing music. This game's soundtrack is just really good in general. I can't explain why, I'm no music doctor or anything, but my ears like it, so it's good. Especially the last few levels tracks are a standout for me. This is just a weird thought I've had while writing this, and some other reviews too, but sometimes I feel like I need to be more critical or negative for the sake of balancing the review, even though I know that's irrational and there's no reason to do that. But there really just isn't that much bad I can say about this game that isn't either insignificant or disingenuous. Like what, it's kinda short? Well, I'd rather it be short and high quality than padded out for no reason. Also, it costs like $12. The underwater segments are kind of slow, but there's only like a minute of them in the entire game, so eh. The plot is weak? Who cares? It doesn't take itself seriously, and clearly isn't trying to tell a deep story. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon. This isn't Silent Hill, it's motherfucking Captain Wayne. Really, this game is just very focused, polished, and doesn't overstay its welcome. You can tell when something is made with love, and I get the impression that the developers had a lot of fun working on this game because there's just so much raw passion on display here. So yeah, if you're into boomer shooters, don't let Captain Wayne pass you by. Game good. Recommended.